Hi, welcome to the Metaphysical Journey. My name is Michael, and in these messages, I'm going to be sharing with you stories from my personal spiritual journey or my life journey, so to speak. In the last pick a card reading I did, the first two cards, the first one was um, Peacemaker, and the second one was Empathic. And those two cards have stuck with me. In the reading itself, I went into more detail about what they each meant for the person choosing card one or two. But I want to kind of pull some of that back up for this and merge the two together. The reason I'm doing this is because right now, and what I'm seeing a lot of on social media, and I've talked about this before, is that the flavor of the month right now is the narcissist. The narcissist. You've seen lots of reels on that, how to deal with them, how to spot them, how to do all kinds of things to get them out of your life. My personal take on that is, why are they in your life to start with? If they're in your life, it's for a reason, to teach you a lesson about how to become a stronger person and tap within your own power to rise above whatever and to learn that lesson. And then once you do that, the narcissist usually will just float away, or you won't be lured in again by a person that's a narcissist. Now, narcissists are people just like all the rest of us. They are equally loved on the other side by the divine. They have a certain path that they are walking right now, and many times their path is to coincide with yours to teach you a lesson on your path. And then hopefully along the way, the narcissist will learn the lesson as well for them and then move on from there. But the narcissist is one thing. I want to talk about the peacemaker empath, the peacemaker that is empathic, because that is far more deadly. If you are an intuitive empath with the whole Claire Bear party pack built in, whatever your clairs are, all that's built in, you have a very strong superpower, whether you realize it or not. Now, inside of you is this powerful light being that's perfection and connected to the consciousness, but it's housed inside of our physical body, and we have an ego and we have different things going on. And as an empath, your average day is that you are picking up like a sponge all the energies around you from the different people, the energies. And when I say energy, that includes the emotions, the trauma, all the stuff going on. You pick up that energy and you absorb it in, unless you're a person that knows how to block that. And I'll be honest, I have not mastered that yet. I'm getting much better, but I still have a problem. And it's so much so that I avoid going into large crowds of people because I just can't handle it without feeling nuked afterwards. When it comes to protecting my home, that I have, can't come in. But when I'm out and about, it's a challenge. And I can go to a store, I can walk in feeling fantastic. And within 10 or 15 minutes, I am exhausted and I'm ready for a nap on aisle 5. I am that worn out because it's just too much. And in the process of that, of the energy being drained and just feeling everything, I have to be careful because I can be short-tempered. I try not to be, and I'm usually very good at that now as I'm older. When I was younger, not so much. But now that I'm older, it's like I know when to stop and breathe and just remove myself from the situation and get out. And I don't interact with a lot of people. I'm very quiet, and usually people stay away from me. I guess I put up that vibe of back off or something, and I'm nice, but it's like they just don't interact with me because I try to get in and get out. And I have this bubble of protection around me. And I think all it does is protect me from people interacting or something. I'm not sure. But be that as it may, in those moments, during that time when you come home at the end of the day, you're tired, you're drained. And it does not take much to tip you off, just push you over the edge. And as an intuitive empath, you have an advantage over pretty much everyone around you. And you can say the most damaging things and not even realize what you've done. I want to share a personal story about this. When I was in seventh grade, we're going to go back in time here, and we're talking late 70s here. Okay, so I've been around for a while. But when I was in seventh grade, first day of school on the bus, I'm called a faggot. I have no idea. I had no idea what that was. Never heard of it. I get home from school. I ask my mom, "What's a faggot?" And my mother's like, "Where did you hear that?" And I said, "Oh, someone on the bus called me that." My mother starts crying. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have messed up. I've said something bad. What have I done? And I am apologizing, saying how sorry I am. And she's like, no, stop. You've done nothing wrong. You've done nothing wrong. And she collects herself and everything. And then she says, I don't ever want to hear that word again. Don't never use that word. It's not a good word. I'm like, well, what does it mean? And she says, it doesn't matter what it means. That's not you. And don't listen to what people say. They're just being dumb. Just ignore it. It's not a good word. Don't ever say it. I'm like, okay. So I walk away from that conversation still having no clue what that word even meant. Sometime later, I'm talking to one of my school friends, and I found a way to ask the question without saying someone called me that. And I was like, hey, I heard so and so call someone this word. What does that mean? And they explained it to me. And I thought, that's not me at all. I don't have sex with other boys. I don't even know what sex was. I really didn't. To give you some context on this one, it wasn't until the ninth grade that I even figured out how babies were conceived. No clue, zero clue. I remember when I was a lot younger, I asked my mom where babies came from. And it's interesting, those types of questions. Now, my brother, who's younger than me, he's very smart. He's a lawyer, and you can just tell him something and he grasps it. I'm a visual person. I have to see it happening, or I have to experience it in some way in order to grasp it. So what my mother did, because she knows my learning style, she took me to the zoo. And I don't know what she expected me to see while there. I'm assuming she expected me to see animals making babies or something. I don't know. But it didn't play out the way she wanted. And so, I had a great day at the zoo, but I later asked the question again, and she's like, it's not important. And she goes, remember we had that dog named Pepper? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, well, remember when we brought that other dog over? And then later Pepper had babies, and I was like, yeah. She goes, well, that's how babies are made. And I thought, piggyback rides? So that was kind of warped and distorted. But so I grew up with that until the ninth grade when I somehow figured it out. Now, in this time period that I grew up in a very conservative family, we did not talk about sex. We didn't talk about really anything except church and eating. That's what we did. Those were two things that were not sins. So we didn't have computers. So I didn't have the advantage of, watching porn. I didn't have that. We didn't have, the magazines. I had clueless. I had no idea. So from the seventh grade all the way through the ninth grade, I am being a barrage of these things being said to me. And I had no concept what they were talking about. I just know that it didn't make me feel good. It really hurt my feelings a lot. And people were always saying this in front of other groups of people so that everyone would laugh at me and make fun of me. And it was horrible. I got to where I avoided people. I didn't trust people. I became very cynical in my own mind. I just always waited for the other shoe to drop because it always did, usually at my expense. Well, by the time I got to the 10th grade, the summer happened. I come back into the 10th grade and I was a different person. I had basically said, enough is enough. Now, prior to that, I was seeing a therapist, and I think the therapist wanted me to talk about my feelings about sexuality. I had no feelings about sexuality because I had no idea what the hell it was. None. My mother had always told me, God has the right person for you. And when you meet that person, you're going to feel about them in a way that you've never felt before. Okay. Well, I never met a girl that made me feel anything, period. Now, there was some guys that I liked and I didn't understand why. I never talked about it. I wondered, do other guys feel that way too? I don't know. It wasn't until I got to college that it was explained to me by my first boyfriend, actually. But that's not the point. It was explained because I was able to meet other people that could talk about things that I wasn't used to hearing. So I learned about everything. The birds and the bees, all in one big whack. It was great. It made the ninth grade stuff finally make sense in a way. But so my mother had told me that. So I hit 10th grade and I'm like, I'm done with people making fun of me. So when a person would say something to me, I would hit them right back with something. Now, what I didn't realize that I was doing was that I was I was empathic for sure because I felt everything, but I also was pulling on clairvoyance and some clairaudience and also a lot of intuition, and I was seeing what was happening under the surface. But more specifically, I was able to tap into the darkest fears and insecurities of the person coming against me with something. And that's what I would hit them back with. I learned pretty quickly that usually one hit was all it took, and I didn't come back for seconds. And over time, people left me alone. That was good. Over time, people avoided me. Maybe not so good, but at least they left me alone. And I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't really figure this out until in 2022 when I started taking psychic development with psychic Angela Thomas, and she defined each of the clairs and explained how they manifest in people's lives. And there were some of them that I realized I've always done that. I thought everybody did that. And I learned that not everybody does do that. I also started realizing that that's what I was pulling from when I was firing back at people. It wasn't fair and it wasn't responsible, but I had no idea. Now I feel bad now about what I did, but at that time, I felt that it was justified. I felt that I was defending myself against being attacked, and I truly was. It doesn't make it right. I live back in the community where I grew up, and I do run into some of the people from time to time that I knew from back then. And many of them don't even acknowledge me. They don't talk to me. They have nothing to do with me. And I can understand why. There were some pretty dark times. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, and this is something to keep in mind, people will forget what you say, but they will never, ever forget how you made them feel. So as an intuitive empath, you are walking around with a very unfair advantage. The flavor of the month may be narcissists, but they don't hold a candle to you. Because what's happening on the surface that most people would react to, and if you're really tired and pushed to the edge, you'll react to it as well. But what is happening that you might not be aware of is that you are actually seeing underneath. You are pulling from those other things and you just automatically know it. And it happens so fast, you don't even realize it. And it's from that darker level, that deeper level of information that you are going to draw your ammunition from if you're not careful. You'll pull from that and you'll hit them back with something. Later, when you think about it, some of the stuff they come at you with, a lot of it's just surface. It's just stupid. It's someone that's having a hard day, they're having a hard time, and they don't know how to deal with their own problems. So they're just projecting their hatred or their anger outward and saying whatever. And a lot of it's stupid. And even later they would say, I don't know why I said that. And at that moment, if you think about it, you realize it has nothing to do with what's going on. It's not about you, it's about what they're feeling. But if we're not careful, we don't even stop to think about that. We just hit them back with something, and it happens so fast we don't even realize what we've done. We've pulled that information and blasted them with it. All it does is make them feel worse. They stay away from you, but it hurts. And as peacekeepers or peacemakers, however you want to call it, We're here for a higher reason, a different purpose. We're not here to attack people, even when we're attacked. We have to stop and breathe through it. Hyperventilate if you have to, but breathe through it and realize this moment in time is major, because what comes out my mouth is going to change the future. What comes out is either going to allow this relationship to continue into the future, or it's going to end it and also damage the person as a result. It's a truly an unfair advantage. The gifts are given to us without repentance. We've heard that, and it's true. Many of the times where the repentance takes place is within ourselves, when we realize how we've been irresponsible with something. We were given a beautiful thing. It's just innate to who we are. And we do it without even thinking about it, because it's just who you are. It is your second nature. It's not like you have to, you hear these people that say, something happens and it's like, later they say, 2 hours later, they say, well, I wish I had said this or said that. As the intuitive empath, you've already said this or said that in the moment of confrontation. It's full impact. You have deadly aim. You have flawless information. And you usually always hit the mark and you make the kill. Knowing when to do that and when not to do that, that's the huge lesson here. So with your gift comes great responsibilities. Try to walk a path in your everyday life to where you can expect confrontation, absolutely. And when that happens, give yourself the moment to stop and say, I need to be strong here. I need to keep my vibration up, and I need to elevate the vibration of this conversation. It's a challenge when it's people you don't even know, strangers saying things, but that's also something you can say, you don't know me, I don't care. But who's going to hurt you the most are the ones that are closest to you, because they know you. They know those little buttons and triggers. And a lot of those are things that they're very surface, they're easy to spot. You know that about them as well, but you also know something much deeper, something they maybe have never shared with you before. And that's the ammunition you do not want to go for. It's a challenge. I did many mean things when I was younger. And 99% of that are the words that came out of my mouth. In my mind, it was self-defense. And it was. But it also was a horrible offense to the people in which I was communicating. I wasn't mature enough to understand what was happening. I didn't know that I had anything different than anybody else. I assumed everyone felt the same way. If they're hurting me and I'm feeling so bad, I have to think that they're feeling that way too. But it just seemed time and time again that they weren't feeling anything at all toward me. So I made it my purpose to make them feel what I felt. And without even understanding what I was doing, I was tapping directly into that and hitting them with that. Only it was a little worse because I saw what was underneath. They didn't know what was going on inside of me. They were just making fun of the outward, of my mannerisms or the way I spoke or something like that. That's what they were going for, the surface. And I was going for the kill. I grew up and I don't care anymore what people think, so it doesn't affect me. The words that I spoke to some of them will probably always affect them, and it definitely impacted. Eventually they get over and they just blow it off, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know, but that's something that I do feel bad about. And it's something I'm very mindful of. I don't want to be a person that hates. I just don't. I'm not a fighter. I like people. I love people. And I feel that that's my purpose here of what I do, of that it's my job every day. It's not my job. It is my mission every day to speak kindness to other people, and I do it everywhere I go. If I go through a drive-through at a restaurant or something, fast food place, I always ask, "How's your day been?" And I try to find something to compliment them on, and I always tell them how much I appreciate them. I don't go to church anymore, so I don't pay tithes. How I use that money instead is I tip servers much more than I ever did in the past. That's a way that I pay because I am grateful for their service. And I'm blessed abundantly because of that. Every little action that we do, every little step that we take, we are walking our purpose, the reason why we're here for this incarnation. The gifts that you have, you've always had them. It might have been later in life that you started to understand them, but you always have been using them. Think back and look at the things that you've done growing up. Those gifts have been there, even if it was just you knowing something without understanding why you knew it. And you thought everyone knew it too. And then you learn later, no, it was just you. You knew it, but no one else because it was your gift. Our gifts are something that they're not just for us to hold on to. It's something that we're supposed to share with the world. Our life is about unwrapping the gift. Your gift is never going to be taken away from you. It was a gift from your divine creator, from your divine father, however you want to term it. It was a gift given to you, and it is not going to be removed from you. But in this life and this path that you walk, the whole purpose is to continually always unwrap that gift and see that there's more inside of there than what you thought. It might be like a gift wrap box, but inside you pull something out. And there's always more coming out because as you share your gift, more things are put inside of there and you continue to share that too. That's why you're here. You're not here to make a lot of money and be wealthy and all these things. And hopefully along the way, you do have those, but that's not your purpose. That is a benefit of you following your path and giving freely of your gifts. Those other things are just party favors. They're side effects or benefits of that. When you give freely, the universe gives you more because it wants to make sure that in your little box that you always have things in there to give away to others. It's not like this is all I have and I have to hoard this. It's for me. And because I have this gift, I'm going to charge people an exorbitant amount of money just to use it. You know, if you want to get me to share my gift with you, you're going to have to pay a lot of money for it. There are people doing that. That is irresponsible. Yes, you can make a living off of your gifts and your abilities. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you start to believe that only you have that gift, that's where you're out of alignment. Everyone has gifts. Only some people choose not to ever open them. But you've opened yours. And now that that's open, share it with people. And as you share that gift, be so mindful of how you do it, and especially the words that you say. If you are an intuitive empath, as I said in the beginning, narcissists hold no candle to you. You are far more deadly, potentially, if not done correctly. That's my message for today. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for listening to my perspective. This is just my perspective. Not everyone's going to agree with me, and that's okay. I still love you. Have a good day. Bye.